Alright guys, we're going to be discussing today why all cows eat grass does not work. And I really believe that after my 20 plus years of teaching. When I was a kid, I learned the notes on the staff by little jingles. We had, let's see, Every Good Boy Does Fine for EGBDF. Then we had FACE, of course, F-A-C-E. Then we had All Cows Eat Grass. That's one I remember the best. And then what do we have? Good Boys Do Fine Always. And there were jingles. And we memorized the jingle. Anytime we needed to know a note, we'd go through that jingle in our head. Next note, go through that jingle. Keep doing the same thing. The reason it doesn't work, it works in the beginning. When you first start, because you don't have very many notes. And you can use that little jingle to help you get notes, to here and there to get you by. But the problem is when you go further and you get to more advanced music and you have more notes, you have to do those little jingles for every note. It really gets time consuming and you bog down. The best thing to do is to learn the thing, not to learn something else to help you remember the thing. When you learn your times tables and you learn 2 times 2 is 4, you don't actually do the math in your head each time. You don't think 2 and 2 is 4, or you don't count to 8 7 times to figure out it's 56. You just memorize 7 times 8 is 56. And that's the same thing with here, except there's a lot less to memorize, I think. One of the hard things about piano is the bass clef is different from the treble clef, of course, and some of us never get over that. And I think these jingles that we learn when we first start piano lessons get in the way of that. And there's only really 24 notes to memorize. Did you know it was that few? And what I'm doing is giving you here my keys to real sight reading. Now, most of you know I do my whiteboard series. I do kind of by ear, and I use letters and pictures and diagrams to teach music. I was thinking about doing a series on sight reading, an actual note reading, and help my own little method that I developed to help you become a fast, effective sight reader. So you don't have to sit down and take forever just to play something, even though you feel like you could physically do it. The reading of the notes just holds you back. So I was thinking of creating something for that. I used to be an awful sight reader. I mean, just horrid. And my ear really held me back there because I would use my ear and not read the music. And I figured out ways to help myself, and now I'm a pretty good sight reader. I can pretty much read anything you said in front of me. Maybe not a list etude or anything, but anything easier than that I think I can do pretty well on. And I was going to do a series on that, so let me know if you're interested in that. If nobody's interested in it, then I don't want to do it. If you're interested in that, and me doing a series on how to teach you to be a better sight reader, and actually a really good sight reader, and I'll include exercises and but it won't be boring. It'll be fun stuff. I use fun little songs that I've written to help with rhythms and recognizing chord patterns and scales and such. So let me know by hitting the like button on this video and making a comment on the video if you would like me to do something like that. Here are the things that you really need to be a good sight reader. Now this right here, these first 2 require absolutely 0 musical talent. That's why a lot of times you can find somebody who can just read the spots off the page, but they can't play anything by ear. I imagine most of my viewers here have a really good ear, but they can't read music that well. But this takes absolutely no musical talent to memorize 24 notes and just be a computer. But you have to be able to do that. You have to have that foundation, and that's where a lot of us went wrong, is we progressed before we had that foundation of knowing what the notes are. And I have some exercises that little fun things to do that can help you memorize. But there's only 24. If you start here in the left hand, you go up middle C, and then you go to the right hand all the way up to G. That's 24 notes. Now the majority of piano playing is done right here. Okay? Yes, there are higher and lower, but the majority of it is right here. If you can get this part down, this area of the keyboard really well, then you'll go a long way, I think, in becoming a better sight reader. Now, so we're definitely not going to use All Cows Eat Grass. We're going to memorize the notes, not a jingle. and I have some ways to help you to do that. We have to change some bad habits, probably, that is what we usually end up doing. So that's the first thing, 24-note real memory. And I'm talking about really knowing. If I just pointed to one note really quick, would you know what it was, like that? Or do you have to count up? Do you have to say, oh, our C's here, so this must be F, and you're counting up from another note. You don't want to count up from another note. You don't want to have a reference point. You need to know each of these notes individually by themselves and know where they are on the keyboard. With no faking and no reference points and no tricks and no guessing. Okay, so that's what we're after. And there's only 24. Did you realize that? There's 12 on this side and 12 on this side. The second thing is what I call keyboard awareness. And that is aware by feel of where you are on the keyboard. We want to speed that up. We don't want to have to look down every time. Oh, where's D? There it is. You want to get so good at it that you can feel from one note to the next where you are. If I know a C's here, then I can feel that octave, or I can feel that sixth, or feel the chord without looking. Okay? Because every time you look down at your hands, slow. It slows you down. Every time you have to go, every good boy does fine, slows you down. Okay? Every time you have to have trouble sitting there trying to count a rhythm, slows you down. So, keyboard awareness, that's what we'll work on as well. Knowing where you are on the keyboard without looking. Okay? So those two things are very important. They take no musical talent whatsoever. Musical talent will help you to do that, but right here it's pretty much just spitting out whatever dots you see, being able to do that. And I'll really help you with your left hand. People are weak on their left hand. There's a very good reason for that. It's the way that we tend to learn piano lessons, at least the way I did. It's not very effective, especially in the beginning. It ends up making a lot of people quit. The third thing is recognition of chord and scale and rhythm patterns. Music is full of patterns and things that you've seen before. It has order. It really does. And it does a few of the same things over and over and over and over again. And so that's what I'll do in this lesson series, if you guys want me to do it, is recognizing chord patterns, seeing it. When I'm sight reading, I don't look at every single note. I'll see the whole measure as a whole. And it'll come out just like if you're reading out of a book. You're not looking at every letter. You see the word as a whole, the sentence as a whole. It just kind of comes out of you like that. And that's how sight reading can be if you do the right things to get to that point. So we're going to see patterns, learn to see the whole measure as one unit and let it just kind of come out of us without having to think about it. If that sounds impossible, it really is possible if we do the right things. Scale patterns. Music is made up of chords and scales, period. It really is. You show me any passage in music that's real tonal music, and there'll be bits and pieces of chords and scales, and that's what it's made of. That's the building blocks of music. Rhythm patterns. People have trouble on rhythms. They sit and try to count it. Real musicians, we don't sit and count all the time. We feel the rhythm. And there are certain rhythm patterns that happen all the time, especially in pop music, syncopated patterns and stuff. And I'll help you with that, to not necessarily sit down and have to count everything out, but to feel the beat and to know where to put those dots on the page in the right place so it sounds right. So anyway, that's some of the things that I will do in that kind of a series. If you got to let me know though, hit the like button and leave me comments about that. Talk to you guys later.